Good evening and welcome inside Laura's Bar and Grill. It's the Bryant Football Coaches Show presented by Laura's Bar and Grill. Tristan Hobbs alongside head coach of the Bryant Bulldog football team, James Perry. Our final show, Coach. And right. It's coming off a victory. The Bulldogs wrapping up the season with an exciting 56-55 win over Howard on Saturday in the nation's capital. Coach, what a way to end the year.
Yeah, a wise tennis coach once told me it's 100% better than ending on a loss. So it was a terrific day and just so much fun for me to watch the kids. I was really proud of them.
The kids were jacked up. The fans, the parents, the alums that were in at Howard on Saturday were jacked up. You couldn't have asked for kind of a more unbelievable three-phase game from your team. You look at the stats, and it's 266 rushing yards, 298 passing yards, 284 return yards. I mean, that's about as dominant three phases of a game as you can get right there from your team.
Yeah, and I was really proud of the kids how they practiced leading up to it. We're always looking to get better, coming off a loss at home, and just watching these kids, in particular the 27 kids that we're going to play their last game. Watching those guys go out there and practice hard, it was very rewarding for me to see that, and then to watch them fight for the whole 60 minutes, and literally the whole 60 minutes. Yeah. We had to fight right to the end there for all 60 minutes. It was incredible, but they had worked hard to put in the time and hard work to come through like that.
And the Bulldogs, if you missed the game, it was a back-and-forth affair. Bryant up 14-0. Howard takes a 21-14 lead. Then the teams trade scores. They go to the break 35-all. Bryant goes back up by 14 in the second half. Howard comes back and ties the game. And then Gene Constant immediately unbreaks the tie with an 88-yard kick return touchdown. Howard then goes down and scores, and with 35 seconds to go, they try to go for two to take the lead, but they forgot that we had Tom Costigan. Yeah. And he makes the stop at the 1-yard line. Bryant then recovers the onside kick, and Price gets to take the knee for the victory. Let's start there, Coach, with Price. He's back in the lineup. A number you told me after the game on Saturday, which is remarkable. His last 12 games that he's played all the way through, so discounting Sacred Heart, in which he was hurt in the second quarter, 10-2. That's remarkable. And
it was fun to watch him keep getting better. I think part of that 10-2 is just how much he became a good practicer. We talk about being good practicers a lot, and he added a lot to the whole team. Just the command of the offense continued to grow at the end of last year, and then throughout this year. And when we lost him and Chris, it was interesting because we got good players, we got a lot of good things going on, but how much impact it had in practice was, to me as the coach and me, was really, I was kind of floored by that. And then to see him come back on Tuesday. And even though the kid is very tough. Even though his arm was still hurting him, just to see him practicing, jumping around that field, bringing the energy that he always does, was really rewarding to me, because it was like we just had this great week. And obviously on Saturday, he played very, very well. Probably his best decision-making game he's ever had. And on a 80% of an arm that he had, he also had a terrific day. But mentally, he was just so sharp on Saturday, so that was great.
And he had all the time in the world to throw. The offensive line was outstanding on Saturday. The 266 rushing yards, and then Price barely got touched.
Yeah, I think those guys up front worked very, very hard all season long. And we play a lot of offensive linemen. So when I say those guys up front, unlike some programs, it might be those guys up front mean 5 people. For us, it means 9. Those 9 guys took that field. They knew they were going to have to play for 60 minutes, and they did a terrific job opening holes in the run game and then protecting Price in the pass game, because one of the things about Price, we never really ran him much, but we knew going into this game we were going to run him all. So if you were a D lineman, he wasn't going to run, period. I mean, he just wasn't physically capable. So they had to have a great game, and they did.
The Bulldogs got some big contributions. Brendan Femiano, over 100 yards for the third time this season, 2 touchdowns. Daniel Adebaboye, 70 yards on the ground. Even Vinny Nizavacia, 75 yards rushing, thanks to a big 69-yard run that helped set up a Gene Constant touchdown. Tom Kennedy, his third career game of 10 or more catches, tying him with Jordan Harris for the most in program history. And then, of course, Gene and Vinny, two guys that, talk about guys that have a great relationship on this team. You always see them together. Gene with 246 all-purpose, Vinny with 200 all-purpose, both with a kick return score, kind of a bookend of the game on special teams.
I think they actually compete with each other for who can have the best block. If you watch the
talked
film,
about that.
Yeah, it's really remarkable just how hard they block for each other. When you have a speed guy, in particular Gene, who's probably the best in the country, you don't expect when they kick away from him, which they do frequently, that same guy to block as hard as Gene does. And but that's why he's our captain, and that's why we're so excited about having him back next year. Is not just his talent, but he's such a good leader, good practicer. He's only going to be better next year than he was this year.
Vinny, his first career kick return score. Gene posted his fifth. Folks, 16 returns. As Coach mentioned, they kick away from him a lot. 16 returns, over 600 return yards, 39.1 average, which leads the country. His 3 kick return scores also tied for the national lead. Astronomical numbers. That's impressive.
It sure is. And I think it's a good product of playing fast. You very rarely get an opportunity to point to certain things as proof positive of kind of the identity and message being heard and executed, and that was an example of it, and it's a credit to those kids.
We'll talk about some of the defensive efforts from the Bulldogs on Saturday at Howard. When we come back, we'll take our first break. This is the final Bryant Football Coaches Show of the 2018 season, presented by Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield. Welcome back inside Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield. Tristan Hobbs, head coach James Perry. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show. Coach, defensively on Saturday, your team 2 interceptions led to 2 touchdowns. David Onumam ran on the 1-yard line to stall the first Howard drive, and then Danny Hughes to start the second half. Tom Costigan, 11 more tackles. Tomas Wright, a sack and a half. They did it when it counted, and they were there in the tough situation. They helped on and helped this team hang on for the 1-point victory.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch on the sideline. Danny gets that pick. Here's a senior. He's played a lot of football for us, and the guys on the sideline were going nuts for him. He's done so much that way, and that was good to get that. And then, actually, playing Newton, we knew he was going to be really good.
Yep.
And one of the best we had seen all year. He was better than advertised. This is obviously a lot of good quarterbacks during my career. Coached a lot of good ones, and he is a terrific player. And if you need any proof of whether he's a terrific player or not, just watch that 4th down.
Scramble!
Literally, you can't even. We weren't in the film room on Sunday because it's the end of the season. But if we were in the film room on Sunday, you can't even get mad at some of those moves he was doing to elongate that play, and then once you elongate a play like that, something bad's going to happen. So, we had our hands full. We knew going into the game we had our hands full, And we got some key turnovers and obviously the key play at the end of the game. So I was really proud of that.
Talking about his mobility, Bryant with 5 sacks in the game on Saturday, the end of the season, tied for the league lead with 30 sacks this season. Tomas Wright, 12.5 sacks, a single-season Bryant record. We've talked about Tomas a lot during the year. Such a fitting reward for a guy that worked so hard to get to where he is right now.
Oh, and he's turned into a really terrific football player. But more importantly to me, he's just doing well in everything. His classroom, his in the community. I mean, he's turned into a real leader for us. And as a guy who's going to be a senior next year, those guys know the challenge that is in front of them. And when you have a guy who's going to be a senior who's just come off this amazing season, it's nice to see that he's also a guy who's going to attack the finals, which are on the horizon. He's going to attack weight gain. He's going to attack his fitness level. He's going to be a leader for us. And obviously he's a terrific player, so it was fun to see that.
And Tom Costigan, another single-season record, 109 tackles, the most in a single season by a Bryant player. A fitting end for what has been an illustrious career for Tom Costigan. It's remarkable, some of the things you look down on the paper, and it's just, does this guy play linebacker? Does he play DN? Does he play safety? What position does he play?
Yeah, now we'll let someone else figure that out.
Exactly.
His Bryant career is over.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
He's got a career in front of him in football. He's that kind of guy. I've been telling everybody who listens that a lot of NFL scouts through the program, which is fun for me to have, kind of an indication of where we're going as a program. And he's just, like I said, we'll let the guys in the NFL figure out where to put him, because he's a hell of a player, and it was fun to watch him finish the game with side to side.
Exactly.
He tracked about 25 yards to help with that gang tackle and put that kid out of bounds. And I'd like to have the watch on that 25-yard sprint he did from the middle of the field to the sideline.
Yeah, and then he recovers the onside kick, and it's funny. I interview him after the game, and the last question I ask him, and the last game is a member of the black and gold, and he said, "You know what? I love this team. I love being a part of this. I loved having the opportunity." And that's you talk about your captains and how they're your best practicers, they're your best players, and what a leader.
Yeah, and I think what's fun is right now, every guy, whether it's Tom or other guys who graduate, know this is only getting better. And they're really going to take a lot of pride in the fact that they laid this foundation for these other guys in the locker room to elevate it even another level. And when we talk about elevating it from Tom Costigan, we've certainly set the bar very high, because that's as good as it gets.
Bulldogs, a 56-55 victory over Howard on Saturday. When we come back from this next break, Coach and I will wrap up the 2018 season, look ahead to the offseason, and what's in store for the Bryant football program. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show, presented by Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield. Welcome back into the Bryant Football Coaches Show, presented by Laura's Bar and Grill. Tristan Hobbs, head coach James Perry. Bulldogs wrapping up their season 56-55 victory over Howard, and they wrap up their season with a winning record for the second straight year, first time since 2010, 2011. Coach, you mentioned it earlier, a great tennis coach, once said it's always better to end the year on a winning note, and it's always great to end on a winning record. This is something you can carry into the December, January, February, March months, and when this team is starting to get prepared for next August.
Yeah, and for us, it's always about getting better, too. So I think, for me, I'm already thinking about the winter. And one of the things I said to the guys this morning was we need a better, at every position, whatever, tackle, guard, center. It can be a better version of the returner. It can be a younger guy who comes up, but we're always getting better. And for us, we're really close to that point where if you start for Bryant football, you're one of the best players in the league across the board. So we'll be really hungry to have a winner commensurate with that, and I think the guys have had enough leadership above them to show them how we can get there, just given the strides that we've already taken, and it gets me pumped up.
56-55 victory, 1 point victory, 10 points or less. Coach, another stat that you gave to me. This is a first, folks. I'm not usually one beaten to this by the head coach, but you got me here twice on Saturday. The Bulldogs in the last 2 seasons, your 2 seasons here, 10-1 in games decided by 10 points or less. Your philosophy's paying off.
Yeah, I think for us, it's such a great testament to these kids' work ethic. What their fitness level is, how they can handle themselves in these close games, how they can handle themselves when they need to play late in the game, some of the critical things that happen in a close game. And, as we go and grow and build, you're able to all of a sudden get some scores on the other direction and increase some of the scores that get higher in our favor, and then, create a different dynamic that way too. And that's kind of stage 2, if you will, in the development of any program, having seen this before. And, I'm just really proud of the kids to be able to pull that off. And, there's no doubt in my mind that there were a full sideline of guys when they were going for 2 who 100% believed we were going to stop that. And that's just a remarkable thing, because in a game where the score is so high, I don't think people understand that that's exactly how a Bryant Bulldog thinks. To a man, we were going to stop that 2-point play. There wasn't a soul on that sideline that questioned that. And, I'm really proud of the guys. You could feel it on the sideline. You could see. Oh yeah,
the boys were fired up.
And it was, so that's why you coach.
Yeah, Bryant, 6-5 this season. Looking back at the season, obviously, Coach, a great start to the year. Losing Price did not help in the middle of the season. Finishing it off with a winning record, you average over 30 points for the second straight season, first time in Division I history that we've done that. Over 400 yards for the second straight season, first time that we've ever done that in back-to-back seasons. And then, obviously, defensively, you look at some of the numbers, 109 tackles for Tom Kostick and 12.5 sacks for Tomas Wright. 30 sacks leading the league in that category. There was things there. The kick return game, 2 kick returners, top of the league in what they do. Luke Sampiri coming up and being a reliable kicker midway through the season, the game-winning field goal against Fordham. So many positive things from this season.
Yeah, and for me, it's just so positive from the perspective of we coach these guys hard. We challenge them every week to test their physical fitness, to go out and schematically learn new things. And, it is just remarkable. We're in the midst, like you said, Price goes down, Chris goes down. We lose a few games there. It's Division I football. Everybody wants to win the game. We come out to practice, and these kids are flying around. We come out to practice. There are 27 seniors who are just completely, if a coach tells them to present the message to the rest of the guys, it's just dispersed leadership in its finest form. So, it was very rewarding for me from that perspective. We'd love to, in the middle of the season there when you, be built a little bit so that we could sustain some of that when you get a couple injuries and things like that. But it's so rewarding when you're able to see the guys respond, come out, play this terrific team, Howard, go down to D.C., long bus trip, all those things, come out and then just play like that. It certainly gets me fired up for the offseason.
The Bulldogs I just lost my train of thought. You mentioned something. Oh, the seniors, a great group of alumni on Saturday down at DC. We saw a couple of alums on our way down. Charlie Granitel and Woody, Brian Wood there as well. Then seeing a great group. You had a great picture on social media with all the alums that came out. I know some of them you had met before, some of them you hadn't met before. We expected it. It was nice to see it and see all the guys there on Saturday.
I mean, I couldn't be more thankful because I think, it's really a testament to the school. The school in general, it's one of those places where it's at your core that you're a Bryant Bulldog for life, and it's kind of written into your DNA. And those guys, it wasn't like a bunch of old fogey alums sitting in the stands
on their hands.
Yeah, doing a golf clap. I mean, I don't know if we literally had more fans than they did, but we certainly were louder. And, we appreciate it tremendously. I personally appreciate it. And, even though I did actually know a couple of the guys, I look forward to getting to know the rest of them because that type of passion is exactly what Bryant is all about to me.
And now, Coach, as we transition into the next phase of the season here, the Bulldogs, obviously with finals coming up, the end of the year banquet, then the early signing period in December, middle of December, and then again in February. It's so hard to fathom that how important these next 5 weeks are for next season. It's amazing to think about how much that can impact next August.
Yep, it is remarkable, and for me, this is an exciting time of year. I love going out and spreading the message of Bryant football. One of the things I tell everybody whenever I interact with them is that there's anytime I get a chance to talk about Bryant football, I'm excited to do it. So you're never an inconvenience. Now, when I'm at home and the phone's ringing after dinner time. But in all seriousness, it is something I'm really passionate about. We have this incredible product to sell. And these guys that I get a chance to talk to, they're so excited. And I know that each year as we get better and the program gets better, that's all because it's coming from the bottom up. And, this has been an exciting time just getting to know a bunch of guys. And now I'll hit the road. And, in preparation for the signing date, our current players will get in the weight room in preparation for, the second semester and all the conditioning that we got going on. And each and every one of them is just as pumped as I am.
Coach, as our last show, we are wrapping things up here. What you mentioned a little bit earlier about, hey, we need to be a better at each position. Mm-hmm. What is the message right now from the staff to the team as we go into this period where there's a couple holidays, finals, and then they're on break, and then they come back? What is the message?
Yeah, how can we be faster? It's funny. We're always looking to get faster. And for me, football is such a cyclical thing. And winter for Bryant Bulldog right now, winter is all about introspection. So I talk to the guys all the time. We don't have the opportunity to compete. We got a long ways away from competing against someone else. So what winter means in the cyclical cycle of the year is how can I get bigger, stronger, faster? And we're lucky we have this incredible strength coach, Coach Buckley, with this incredible weight room, right in the end zone of Burns Stadium that is just unbelievable to use. And our guys now have to say, okay, I am going to get bigger, faster, stronger so that when I enter the next phase, which is spring football, when I enter the next phase of the calendar, I'm ready to be faster than ever. When I hit that field, I am going to be faster. I'm going to be more decisive. I'm going to be able to do those things. And then we'll take the next cycle and so forth. And then next thing you know, I'll be giving my speech next August saying now we're time to compete. Compete for roster spots, compete for depth charts, and then ultimately compete against Stony Brook in the away opener next year.
Coach, we appreciate you joining us every Monday for the last 12, 13 weeks, but this is it for us until next August, and I know that you can't wait to get back on here with me.
Yeah, and every time we come here, we'll be able to see the Bryant football jersey that's hung up that we did earlier today, because I know I speak for you and everyone else how much we appreciate the hospitality of Laura's. It's obviously an excellent place to go anyway, but just how nice they are to us and supportive they are of me in the football program, I just appreciate it. So it's been a great year.
The Bryant Football Coaches Show. This is our last one. We will be back next August to follow the Bulldogs during the off season with signing day, with all the fun stuff, with the national awards, the league awards that are coming out in the next couple of weeks. Be sure to follow the Bulldogs on social media at Bryant U Football. You can follow them on Instagram and on Twitter. So, Coach, we thank you for joining us all year long, and we will see you all next August. Go Bulldogs.
Great. Thanks for having me.